Greetings gamers, FiOth here, and in this review, in our series of Honest AF reviews, we will be taking a look at Scars Above, the newest creation of Madhead Studios, that is a Serbian studio, quite small and new from what I understand, and published by Prime Matter, a publisher that's been responsible for a lot of AA publications in the past, including the Painkiller series that many of you probably already know. So what is Scars Above? Scars Above is a very honest third-person action adventure that makes you assume the role of Kate, a scientist, and a mission to identify the origins and function of an unknown object that appeared above Earth. I'm gonna disclaim a couple of things here when it comes to the format of this review. So what we do here on the channel is we present footage from either trailers, demo, or early gameplay without subtitles, so nothing is spoiled. What you will see in this vid is tidbits of the opening of the game, so if you go in even for 10 to 15 minutes, you should be able to see most of what I'm showing here. Nothing will be taken out of your experience. I am talking about the game each time, giving you my honest opinions. I'm not paid by anyone, I'm not biased in any way, so you can make an informed decision. The BGM you're listening to is The Observatory from Hellpoint, and I used it because it's one of the best tracks ever composed by a human mind when it comes to relaying the feeling of the unknown and the vastness of the universe. So let's get to the meat and potatoes. You'll be seeing my face throughout this whole thing because I wanna experiment with the format a bit. I hope you like it. If not, leave it in the comment section below and I'll take everything under consideration, I assure you. It's a AA production first and foremost. Let's address the elephant in the room. Not the most technically advanced game you'll ever see when it comes to the graphics, okay? It kinda looks like an Unreal Engine 3 late age project that is an era in gaming, mostly in the 7th to 8th generation of consoles, where things started to look lifelike, photorealistic to an extent, but still they were ways off from looking 100% as you'd expect nature around you to look. Areas themselves have very fine touches here and there, which make the overall look of the environment solid at least and impressive at best, but character models suffer from low poly counts and what's to be expected from a smaller production. I am not pooping on the devs parade here. They've done an excellent job with what they had, and I have to tell you guys, graphics, engines, and all the flashes when it comes to game development, they always become obsolete down the line because the next awesome thing comes in and sweeps the previous one off its feet. But artistic direction is forever, and this game has amazing artistic direction. It borrows heavily from Returnal, that is 100% obvious, and that was one of the reasons I wanted to play it and review it, but it also takes some cues from classics like Space Odyssey, for example, with its monoliths and unknowable structures. If that kind of thing hits home for you, you're going to love your adventures in Scars. It is so close to that hard sci-fi aesthetic that we've come to love from older movies and some of the older games. Everything looks so alien, so distant from what we'd expect in an Earthen environment. That is married very delicately with the nature that is presented here and there, like open fields with grass and animals and all that. And you get the feeling that there is something at work here, some civilization left something behind, but there was also something here beforehand, flora and fauna, and that is left largely intact. The game starts with a big mystery looming and you know nothing about what's going on, something that will keep sustaining itself for the first few hours of the game. When it comes to the hours involved in this creation, it is a straightforward, totally linear adventure that will take you anywhere from 6.5 to 8 hours to finish according to how well you can play and the difficulty setting that you choose. I played it on Commander, the highest setting from the start, and it clocked around 8 hours, something less than that. But it was a blast throughout, and then, because I wanted to record gameplay, I wanted to restart the whole thing. And what really struck me as odd is that I was never bored of it. In this day and age, with the over-bloated productions, with the huge maps and huge array of weapons and all that, man, you cannot replay those things. You restart a new game, you're butt naked, you have nothing at your disposal, and you're like, this is gonna be torture unless I empower my character really quickly, and then you lose interest sometimes, and you know, it looks like a chore. In other games, you can go New Game Plus, and then they rarely hit the balance of the game starting. Very, very easy, and down the way, you're gonna meet some challenges because initially you will be overpowered AF. So the game takes you from point A to point B, C, up to Z, and then it's done. It covers pretty much every plot point by that time frame. Nothing's left unanswered, and it doesn't leave you in a cliffhanger. That's something very rare in this day and age as well. It concludes its story without trying to set up a universe per se. Leaves room open in case they want to make a sequel, and we all know how important IPing for small studio survival is, but you'll not leave the game with a sense that, oh man, they just kept pulling us in and then they just cut to black and we were left with questions unanswered. No. Very, very important when it comes to the ideas discussed here is the scientific method as it is explained through the voice acting, which is amazing, by the way. Voiceovers are excellent, although the faces might not be up to scratch for today's standards, but the voice lines and the writing is amazing. It all stands on the grounds that if you follow the scientific method, you will succeed. So you will be running an audit environment, and the first thing you'll be doing is scanning everything, collecting information, crafting stuff on a 3D printer that you can use to improve your arsenal, and so on and so forth. Kate and crew, when they're discussing things, behave like scientists, okay? Not madmen, not people who feel like they're lost in something unanswerable. They are there to see what's happening, what entailed, and try to solve this. And for me, that's a huge plus, because in the service of over-dramatization these days, media is all about wackos and fanatics and all that stuff. It's rare that we see a crew of scientists behaving like scientists. Ridley Scott. So, the arsenal at hand. You will be using 4 primary forms of attack and self-defense, on that extent, and they are tied to elements: fire, electricity, ice, and acidic compounds. Those can be combined to create elemental combos that will either have a secondary effect or cause a big chunk of damage to your enemies. And what struck me as really amazing is that, yeah, you can electrocute enemies when they're in a puddle of water, but you can also electrocute them when it's raining, for example. And that's a very fine detail, because it really shows that the environmental effects are there. They're not just particles in the air to make the game look pretty, they're actually there, and you can take advantage of them. You can perform a plethora of those combos, and you can also use a plethora of gadgets that are totally optional in order to incinerate the ground around you, create shields, decoys, teleport small distances, all very well implemented and working as intended. I am using the review version of this game, and the only minute thing I could detect when it comes to bugs after 2 playthroughs is the slight stuttering in the full motion videos, and that might come from any number of reasons. I don't know why they went with FMVs. The game could support the smaller cutscenes that you'll see here and there, but it was a creative decision, I suppose, and it doesn't really deduct anything from the experience. Rock solid, never crashed, never had any sound glitches or visual glitches. It ran like a dream. Very light game considering its tech. I was able to get 120 frames. Everything maxed on a 3070 Ti. Very, very solid, streamlined experience. The sound design, apart from the voice acting that I wanted to touch upon, is excellent. I didn't put music from the game here so I wouldn't spoil it for you. It is fantastic stuff. It's been years since I had such a complete soundscape, so true to what it wanted to relay to the player. I think Mass Effect 1 did its best back in the day, and then Hellpoint, from which you're hearing the Observatory right now, which is one of my favorite tracks of all time. As I said again, congrats, congrats, congrats. Coming from this specific publisher, you can expect a reduced price tag. They've always made very affordable games, and I can guarantee that if you like sci-fi material, you are going to love this game. When it comes to what's weak about it, I already talked about the presentation. It reuses assets on many an occasion, like this is the weak to electricity kind of behemoth, and this is the weak to fire kind of behemoth. But that is to be expected, because asset crafting in game development is one of the most expensive processes, and it's not affordable to everyone. You know what I mean? But the fact that these people wanted to make a grounded sci-fi third-person action shooter without plans of over-expanding it and present it to us at an affordable price and doing such a nice job in the process is commendable. And I'll take this over the nth installment in an already established franchise. Thank you very much. So I don't want to waste more of your time. I don't want to overindulge and continue listening to the sound of my own voice. A synopsis: a very well written, very scientific centric game with some limitations when it comes to the graphics themselves, excellent voice acting and overall sound design, a feeling of being lost on an alien planet, the unknowable and the dread that comes with it was processed by the mind of a scientific specialist. Very honest to heart about what it's doing. Its shortcomings might be tied to its duration for some people, but if you value quality over quantity as I do, I am pretty sure you are going to enjoy this very, very much. Again, I'd like to thank the publisher for providing the review copy. On my channel, you will see guides on everything in the game. I created a long play that you can watch in a few hours, as I'd be ready to show, and guides on all the bosses and all the puzzles. So sub, like, share, hit the notification bell. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, be well, stay frosty, and always strive for perfection. Cheers!